Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful idea from the Carmelite tradition. It's a way of life that goes so much deeper than just, a surface-level belief. We're going to explore what it really means to be a disciple.
And it all kicks off with this ancient Jewish saying. Now, at first it sounds a little strange, right? Maybe a bit mysterious. But trust me, it holds the absolute key to a life-changing spiritual path. So, what on earth does it mean?
Okay, let's break this down. And get this wasn't just some poetic metaphor. It was a physical reality. A disciple would literally follow their teacher, their rabbi, so closely, so intently, that the dust kicked up from their feet would actually cover them. It was a powerful, visible sign of a deep, all-in desire to be just like their master in every single way.
This slide, man, it just gets right to the heart of it. On the left, you've got what we could call a check-the-box faith. It's about learning facts about Jesus, collecting a set of beliefs. It's kind of passive. But the dust of the rabbi faith on the right, that's a whole different game. It's not about what you know, it's about who you're becoming. It's a way of life. It's an active, daily transformation where you're trying to imitate the master. So, as you can probably guess, this whole imitation thing, it isn't a one-and-done decision. You don't just flip a switch. It's a disciple's journey, and it's something that unfolds over an entire lifetime.
And look, the goal here isn't to be perfect by tomorrow. It's about a continuous process. The Carmelite tradition really sees this as a journey from who we are right now, with all our flaws, toward becoming more and more like our divine teacher, Jesus. It's all about that gradual, intentional growth. And you might be sitting there thinking, okay, this sounds intense. Is this really for me? And the answer is a huge, resounding yes. I mean, just think about Peter, a regular fisherman, a guy who was impulsive and made a ton of mistakes. His story shows us that this path is for absolutely anyone who wants to go deeper and is willing to just give an active yes to that call.
So that all sounds great, but what does it actually look like day to day? How do we start walking this path? Well, the good news is we don't have to guess. The early church left us a really clear blueprint for the whole journey.
And this blueprint, it comes straight from the book of Acts. The very first Christians, this is what they devoted themselves to. These 4 things. And they aren't just random items on a to-do list. They're more like interconnected pillars that support each other. They create this really strong framework for a life of true discipleship. So the whole structure really starts with this first, foundational pillar, prayer. But we're talking about something way more than just saying some words. Think about it like this. Prayer isn't a chore. It's spiritual breathing. It's that vital, can't-live-without-it part of your day where you just stop and intentionally put yourself in Christ's presence. That's how we let His dust, His very life, start to settle on us and change us from the inside out. But that inner change, it can't just stay bottled up inside. It has to overflow into our second pillar, which is fellowship. Now, this might be a little surprising, because the Carmelite tradition is known for its quiet, contemplative side. But it's absolutely clear that discipleship is not a solo sport. Real transformation has to be lived out with other people. This is what's called the incarnational dimension of our faith. We don't just find Jesus in quiet prayer. We actually encounter the living Christ in each other, in our brothers and sisters. It's in those relationships where we encourage each other and, even challenge each other, that our prayer becomes real and our commitment gets tested and made stronger. Okay, our third pillar takes us from the internal and the relational to something you can actually touch, the sacraments. These aren't just symbols or rituals. They're seen as direct physical encounters with Jesus that give us the spiritual fuel we need for the journey. The first Christians had this beautiful way of putting it. They called it the breaking of the bread. They were talking about the Eucharist. And for them, just like in the Carmelite tradition, this wasn't a symbol. This was a real encounter with Jesus, who nourishes us and fills us with His divine life for the road ahead. And the second huge sacrament for this journey is confession. So if the Eucharist gives us our strength, confession offers the healing and the mercy we need when we mess up, which, let's be honest, we all do. It's what lets us get back up, dust ourselves off, and keep walking right behind the rabbi.
And that brings us to our fourth and final pillar. This is the one that gives a solid foundation to all the prayer, the fellowship, and the sacramental experiences. It's the Apostles' teaching.
Saint Teresa of Avila, who was a total master of the Carmelite way, she just nailed it here. The Apostles' teaching, or sound doctrine, isn't about boring academic stuff. It's a vital guardrail.
It channels all our spiritual energy and makes sure that our journey is based on truth and is actually leading us to God, not just some idea of God we've made up in our heads.
So, we've got these 4 pillars: prayer, fellowship, the sacraments, and teaching. But how do we actually weave them all together into one active way of life? Well, that's the call to action.
Really, it all boils down to this. It's a dynamic relationship where our contemplation, our prayer and our learning, fuels our action in the world through community and grace. This is the opposite of a passive, stagnant faith. It's about an intentional movement, a daily choice to walk so closely with Jesus that you just can't help but be changed by him.
And so, we're not going to end with some neat, tidy answer. Instead, we'll leave you with the one question that really drives this whole journey. It's the question a true disciple asks day in and day out. We've got the roadmap, we've got the 4 pillars, but the journey itself, it starts with this simple, powerful desire. How can I, today, be just a little bit more like Jesus?